Hey everyone, how's it going? I am trying something new this week and I am trying to stream this Zoom meeting live on my Facebook page. Looks like it's working from what I can see, which is really good. And there's a reason why I wanted to do this week. First of all, I hope everyone is having a great week or has had a great week and looking forward to the upcoming weekend. But yeah, I wanted to take a little different approach to this week's Facebook Live and wanted to use Zoom to stream this to get all nerdy and technical, which I love, because I wanted to actually share my screen in the Facebook Live and go through something with everyone. I wrote a blog post this week that was around how you make food choices, right? How you decide which food is quote unquote good for you, which food is quote unquote bad for you. And I thought I personally think it's quite an interesting blog post. I hope it's useful. I think it's a useful exercise to go through to understand why looking at maybe just information about a food item is not giving you the whole story. And perhaps some of your preconceived mindset around what makes a food good and bad may not be serving you. And also how one food item might be good for some person and might not be good for another person. So with that said, I'm going to share my screen and I'm just going to walk through the blog post itself, walk through this exercise and I take you through the post. So hopefully I can do that. Just see here. Screen here. I hope you all can see that. If If you want to check out the blog post, you can go to my webpage at rjbhealth.coach. Click on the blog, and right now it's the first post. But the title of the post is Why Your Goals Should Dictate Your Food Choices. And that will become obvious as we go through here. But basically, the blog post revolves around looking at two different food items, right? We have two food items here. And I'm just going to reveal pieces of information about the different food items and why, what makes up them and ask you which one you would choose just based on what you know about them at this point. So the first thing we'll look at is, what's the energy of these two food items that I have in mind here? We have food item A and food item B. Food item A, they both have relatively same amount of calories, right? One has 140 calories, the other 149 calories. The 9 calorie difference is relatively insignificant for the most part. So nothing to really worry about per se. But the macronutrient composition of the two food items is somewhat different, right? And really the main difference is coming in the carbs and fat ratios, right? So food item A has 12 grams of fat and 14 grams of carbs, while food item B has 31 grams of carbs and 1.6 grams of fat. There is a slight difference in the amount of protein, but I don't think that's really a huge difference. The 6 grams of protein is somewhat negligible when you're considering the amount of protein that someone probably needs to eat. So overall, I consider that difference the same as in the 9 calorie difference as well. But just based on this information that you see here, which one would you pick? Really comes down to your preference around carbs and fats. And maybe you have no preference and either one is okay with you, and that's fine. But if you're in the low carb, high fat realm, maybe food I may seems more attractive to you at the moment. But if you are in the high carb, low fat paradigm, you might be choosing food item B at this point, right? So keep that in mind as we move forward, right? So next we're going to look at the breakdowns of the carbs and fats in the two food items, right? So in food item A, which was the higher fat option, right? We see that we have 14 grams of carbs, 12 grams of fat. 6 grams of those carbs are fiber. So if you like to play around with subtracting out fiber for carbohydrates, if you're in the low carb space, and that might be somewhat relevant to you. And then also fiber is good to have in your diet. Food item B, this is the lower fat, higher carb option, has again 31 grams of carbs, this time 10 grams of fiber. Again, you're playing with fiber minus carbs or looking at fiber as something that you're trying to get in. That might be somewhat important to you. And I can fibers also could play a role in your goals as well, and why you might choose an option outside of just fiber for digestive health. Again, not a lot of fat, has a little bit of omega-3s in it, not anything terribly large, nothing like you're going to get from a fatty fish or something like that, but that is there as well. So a little bit more context around the breakdowns of carbs and fats, if that's interesting to you. Next piece of information is around vitamin and mineral content. Food item A really doesn't have a whole lot going on in the context of vitamins and minerals. You can see a lot of zero percentages here, especially around vitamins. It has some minerals, but nothing that's mind-blowingly like impactful overall to your diet. That's something to consider as well. Whereas we look at food item B, this has, in some cases, significant doses of certain minerals and vitamins, but it has just a wide range of different types of vitamins and minerals. You can see there's a lot of action, for lack of a better word, going on here in the vitamin and mineral front from food item B. That's also something to keep in mind. What are you getting when you eat these two different food items besides just fat, carbs, and protein? Okay. So that's like a lot of the stuff you'd find in your favorite food tracker that I think is relevant to your food, deciding which one you would want to choose. But the other thing that I think is also relevant here is food volume. And I'll explain why here. I'm going to make the text a little bigger so you can see. So the total weight of food item A is 32 grams, whereas the total weight of food item B is 584 grams. Remember, same calories. They're both going to give you the same amount of calories, but one food item A is only 32 grams and the other one is 584 grams. So maybe grams don't really make much sense to you and you don't really think in terms of grams, which is fine. I understand. Food item A, maybe you think in pounds of or kilograms. Food item A weighs in at 0.07 pounds, so significantly less than a pound, or 0.032 kilograms. Food item B weighs in at 1.28 pounds, or about a half a kilogram, a little more than a half a kilogram. So yeah, same amount of calories, but huge difference in volume, right? This is a very significant difference in volume. And again, we'll explain why that is important in a second, or may not be important, may be bad things. So what are these two food items? I'll let you know. So do you know which one you're going to choose at this point? Does everyone, I'll give you a chance to think about which one you're going to pick. But if you want to know which one, what these food items are, food item A is a PerfectKeto chocolate chip Nola bar, which I have had. These are quite tasty. If you're looking for a nice little snack, they are quite a little delicious treat. If I don't say it, they did a really good job replicating something like a regular granola bar with those. So kudos to PerfectKeto. Food item B are the veggies that I eat for breakfast every morning. So that is a picture of my breakfast after I weighed it on a scale and put everything into chronometer that I weighed out there. It's basically just a whole bunch of veggies: onions, cauliflower, Brussels sprouts, zucchini, summer squash, red cabbage, red peppers, green peppers. Yeah, I think that covers pretty much everything I usually have for breakfast as far as veggies. Yeah. So those are the two things. Remember, same amount of calories, a little bit of different macronutrients, but which one are you going to choose here? And my argument is that neither one of these food items is good or bad. I think I can stop sharing my screen at this point because there's nothing else here on the blog post that is actually going to be relevant. So let me just stop sharing my screen. All right, there we go. Yeah, so neither one of these food items is good or bad. What we need to decide or if we're going to choose one of these food items, we decide which one is good or bad for us in the context of our lives and what our goals are. Right. Say we'll take a common goal here of weight loss, right? You want to lose some weight, right? I'm going to make an argument that food item B, the big thing of veggies, big skillet of veggies, is a much better food choice than food item A, which is the Nola bar, even though you might be following a low carb, high fat diet, and that looks like a lot of carbohydrates, because ultimately what comes down to, it's not the amount of carbohydrates that's going to make you lose weight. It's the amount of calories you eat. And ultimately, the calories that are the volume of food that you're going to get from eating those veggies is going to keep you full longer, right? It's going to, not only is it a lot of food, it's over a pound of food, remember, but it's also whole foods. And that means it's takes more work to digest. So you're going to eat a lot of food. It's going to take you a long time to digest them. You're not going to feel hungry for quite a while after eating over a pound of vegetables. In addition, in a weight loss scenario, it's important to make sure you're getting the adequate vitamins and minerals because you're limiting the amount of food that you're taking in order to have a caloric deficit. Having those veggies with all those vitamins and minerals in them is going to go a long ways as to satisfying your kind of RDA for a lot of those vitamins and minerals. Also, there's lots of research showing that when you provide your body with the right amount of nutrients, as in the nutrient density of the food you eat, is high. You're getting all the vitamins and minerals that you should get. That you tend to crave less foods, right? Because there's some research that shows that if you're deficient in certain vitamins and minerals, your body still sends hunger signals to your brain because it's saying, "Well, I need sodium or potassium or magnesium or whatever. I'm really low in that, so I want you to eat some more food because I need these vitamins and minerals. I need this to be satisfying." So overall, in a if weight loss goal, that big thing of veggies is going to go a lot further than something like the Nola bar. And yeah, Nola bar is going to work somewhat against you because it's very small. It's not going to fill you up, and it's somewhat hyper palatable. Like I said, it tastes really good, right? I eat one of those things. It's not very satisfying, and it's going to be like, I want some more chocolate because those chocolate chips taste really good. You're going to find yourself quite hungry later. Again, you've consumed the same amount of calories, but the hunger that you experience is going to be quite different between the two. I guarantee it. Now, we can pick a different goal. Say your goal is to build muscle mass and you're trying to consume a large amount of calories, right? Um, and yes, I always advocate people eating whole foods like vegetables and stuff like that. And you should definitely, even no matter what your goal is, whether it's to lose weight or to gain weight, add muscle, that you should be eating a lot of whole foods, a lot of veggies and stuff like that. But it comes to a point where that stuff gets too filling and you really can't eat anymore, right? And so you want to fall into the other end of the spectrum where smaller food volume for the calories, maybe even making the food more hyper palatable to encourage you to eat a little bit more is going to be beneficial for you, right? So in that case, for someone looking to maybe gain weight or add muscle, choosing the Nola bar might be the right choice, right? Because it is hyper palatable and it is smaller for the same amount of calories, right? And it helps you achieve your goal better. In addition, we need to take into account things like digestion. Some people might be able to digest that big plate of veggies perfectly fine. Another person, it might tear them apart. So yeah, if your goal is weight loss, but you eat those vegetables and it goes right through you, that it's not really helping you at all. It makes you feel terrible. It's not going to be beneficial at all. And this is regardless what your goal is, whether it's gain weight or lose weight, right? You never want to feel terrible while you eat something. And same thing with the Nola bar. There's some sugar, alcohol in that thing. And I'm sure there's people that will react negatively to those, as a lot of people do. But you have to also consider things like digestion. Does it give you brain fog or make you feel tired after you eat these things, right? All those things also play into your goals, right? Are you going to be exercising soon, right? Are you going to be working out in the next hour or so? Maybe having that big plate of vegetables is probably not the best idea right before you're going to go run for a while, right? So yeah, there's a lot of different scenarios we need to consider, but it goes far beyond, our mindset around what is the right food for us based on things like macronutrients or protein or fat or carbs or anything like that. It's a useful exercise I think we should all go through when trying to decide what food we want, right? Lots of times we get stuck in a mindset and try to adhere to quote unquote guidelines for people, right? Which is all great and good. But at the end of the day, you need to put yourself, the context in which you're making these food choices and your goals come before all that stuff. With that said, I'll end this live. Glad it worked out with Zoom and everything. So that's really cool. It's a little trick to have for future Facebook Lives. But with that, if you're interested in getting like things like this blog post, the videos and other stuff that I put out on a weekly basis, please go to my website at rjbhealth.coach and sign up for my newsletter. So link at the top says newsletter, click that, enter your email address, and you can jump on the newsletter and get all this stuff delivered to your inbox weekly. And that'd be a lot easier than try to stalk me on social media. If you are interested in some one-on-one coaching, I have a couple spots open. We can talk more about that by, again, going to my homepage at rjbhealth.coach and clicking the schedule discovery call button right on the homepage and fill out the form, and I'll get back in touch with you with more information on that. And yeah, if you have any questions or comments on what we went through today, to hear your thoughts, please leave comments here, direct message me. I'm always happy to chat and talk. I hope everyone has a good weekend, and